RAM stands for Random Access Memory, and it is one of the most important parts of your computer when it comes to performance. Think of RAM as your computer's short-term workspace. When you open a program, a web browser, a document, or a game, your computer needs somewhere to keep the information it is actively using. That is what RAM does. The more RAM your computer has, the more information it can keep readily available at the same time. For example, imagine your computer is a desk. Your storage drive is like a filing cabinet. It holds all your files, programs, photos, and documents, even when the computer is switched off. RAM is the space on top of the desk. When you're working, you take things out of the filing cabinet and put them on the desk because they're easier and faster to access. If your desk is large, you can have lots of things open at once. But if your desk is too small, you have to keep putting things away and getting them back out again. That's roughly what happens when your computer doesn't have enough RAM. You might notice programs taking longer to switch between, web pages becoming sluggish, or the computer slowing down when you have lots of things open. You may also notice your computer becoming particularly slow when you're using demanding applications, such as video editing software, large spreadsheets, virtual machines, or modern games. But RAM isn't the same thing as the CPU. The CPU, or Central Processing Unit, is essentially the computer's main processor. If RAM is the workspace, the CPU is the worker sitting at the desk. The CPU actually performs the calculations and instructions needed to run your programs. So, RAM gives the CPU space to work, while the CPU does the actual processing. Having more RAM doesn't automatically make your computer faster in every situation. If your computer already has enough RAM for what you normally do, adding more may make very little difference. So how much RAM do you actually need? For basic everyday use, such as web browsing, email, Microsoft Office, and watching videos, 8 GB can still work, but 16 GB is a much more comfortable amount for a modern Windows computer. For heavier multitasking, gaming, creative work, or demanding applications, 16 to 32 GB may be more appropriate. Professional workloads can require even more. The important thing is to look at how you actually use your computer rather than simply buying as much RAM as possible. You can check how much RAM your Windows computer has without opening the case. Open Settings, select System, and then About. Look for the section showing your installed RAM. You can also open Task Manager by pressing Ctrl, Shift, and Escape. Select the Performance tab, and then choose Memory.